Hi guys, and welcome to my channel Football Canapes. And yes, we are joining in late, but first of all, if you are in a country where it's already Christmas, so Merry Christmas. We're just in India, an hour and about 30 minutes away. And welcome to my channel Football Canapes. So, just wanted to wish you Merry Christmas. And yes, might be a gift from Santa Claus or something else to Manchester United fans, but it looks like it's been confirmed that the deal for Manchester United by Sir Jim Ratcliffe has gone through. It is now official. Sir Jim Ratcliffe now owns the 25% of Manchester United, and he will be running the sporting side of things as far as the club is concerned. Yes, we have already seen some of the casualties, or at least one high profile casualty, as in Richard Arnold, who was the CEO at Manchester United, has already left the club or is very close to leaving the club. Sir Jim Brailsford, no, David Brailsford will be joining Manchester United staff, and John Claude Blanc is expected to be the new CEO. John Murta, who is the director of football at Manchester United, is expected to remain in his role and uh, and continue however long. I don't know. We'll have to wait and find out. But listening to and reading some of the comments that have been floating around on the internet, it does look like that his days might be numbered as well. There have been some high profile names that have been mentioned. Of course, one of those being uh, Dan Ashworth, who is the sporting director at Newcastle United, my team, and of course, I wouldn't want him to be, leaving Newcastle. He's been doing a tremendous job, and I just realized that I have had the spelling wrong, so just changing that, and yeah. So of course, Dan Ashworth, Paul Mitchell's name has been mentioned. Let's see if any of those come to pass. Of course, Paul Mitchell has worked with I think Ineos before at Nice. And of course, if you don't know that Ineos is the company that Sir Jim Ratcliffe owns, and he will be, and he'll be, the company will be basically running the football side of Manchester United, and I mean, it's nice to think of it that way. That it might be it. I think it was a bit of a pre-planned thing where Manchester United released this news on Christmas Eve. It's like everyone can enjoy their Christmas. Everyone. At Manchester United, I'm sure is pretty sick of the Glazer family running the football club into the ground. The stadium, that is Old Trafford, is rotting along. There are holes in the ceiling. Fans don't enjoy going to the games. Of course, it rains in Manchester, and they get soaking wet in the in the rain. Of course, the results of the club haven't helped the fans. They are pretty sick of it. Yesterday they lost to West Ham United. Who knows, if this news had come in earlier, it might have given the the fans a boost about what is going on, and who knows, they might have done well at West Ham, and who knows, might have on the draw, or maybe even won the match. West Ham aren't a particularly good side, I mean, comparing to Manchester United, but they played really well, kept a clean sheet, and did Manchester United quite easily in the end. 2-0 could have been more, could have been less, but it is what it is, and the sale has now gone through. So if you are watching, then do let me know in the chat what do you think if you are a Manchester United fan. And we'll be going through some of the statements that have been coming out. Manchester United, of course, have released a statement. I'm just trying to get statement, trying to get hold of that statement from Twitter, and mm, just give me a moment. But uh, of course, I mean, this process has been now going on for about a year, more than a year. Before World Cup it started the whole thing, and now it looks like it has it has reached its conclusion for the time being at least. And here's the statement that I have now gotten access to. So this is the club statement, quite a detailed statement, and let's just go through the final points of this statement from Manchester United. Before that, just give me a moment to arrange the whole thing properly. And yeah, so here we have it, and yeah. So this is the statement. Manchester United PLC reaches agreement for Sir Jim Ratcliffe, chairman of Ineos, to acquire up to 25% shareholding in the company. Here are the some of the bullet points from the sale. Acquisition of 25% of Class B shares held by the Glazer family. Offer to acquire up to 25% of all Class A shares. Not a financial wizard that ways, but I think Class A shares are far more important because they include voting rights as well. The Glazer family and Class A shareholders will receive the same price of $33 a share. Further investment of 300 million in the club, which is a good thing from Manchester United's point of view. Of course, playing squad, the training ground, that all everything needs everything needs to be worked on, and any investment that Sir Jim Ratcliffe brings in will be welcome by the club. And yeah, so that's quite important. And going over the statement again, because there are quotes from the Glazer family and Sir Jim Ratcliffe himself that need important detailing. And let's just Ineos delegated responsibility for management of football operations. Completion of this deal is subject to receiving all necessary regulatory approvals, including from the Premier League. So one thing that also needs to be kept in mind is that this thing has happened just before the January transfer window. So important to note how much investment goes into the transfer window. Excuse me. So Sir Jim Ratcliffe, of course, is coming in. He would want the club to do well, and of course, transfer window is just around the corner, and and expectations would be high from the fans of Manchester United. Of course, I am not a Manchester United fan, and Manchester United fans would be expecting quite some money being pumped into the club, and that ways the squad can be reinforced, and Manchester United can get a second wind in this season which has been quite turbulent to say the least, and they can of course they can maybe push for a top four finish because title is well gone. They're already above the Carabao Cup, and that needs to be looked at. Okay, going back to the statement from Manchester United. Manchester United, New York Stock Exchange ticker ManU announced today that it has entered into an agreement under which chairman of Ineos, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, will acquire 25% of Manchester United's Class B shares and up to 25% of Manchester United's Class A shares and provide an additional 300 million intended to enable future investment into Old Trafford. Right. As part of this transaction, Ineos has accepted a request by the board of the delegated responsibility for the management of the club's football operations. This will include all aspects of men's and women's football operations and academies alongside two seats on the Manchester United PLC board and the Manchester United Football Club boards. The joint ambition is to create a world class football operation building on the club's many existing strengths, including the successful off pitch performance that it continues to enjoy. Executive co-chairman and directors Avram and Joel Glazer said, "We are delighted to have agreed this deal with Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos as part of the strategic review we announced in November 2022. We committed to look at a variety of alternatives to help Manchester United with a focus on delivering success for our men's, women's, and academy teams." Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos bring a wealth of commercial experience as well as significant financial commitment into the club, and through Ineos Sport, Manchester United will have access to seasoned high performance professionals experienced in creating and leading elite teams for both inside and outside the game. Manchester United has talented people right across the club, and our desire is to improve at every level to help bring our great fans more success in the future. Ineos chairman Sir Jim Ratcliffe said, and this is the important bit. This is like if you are a Manchester United fan, this is what you'd want to you'd want to focus on, and and I mean, you would want to listen to what your new. Well, most fans are concerned about what happens on the pitch rather than what goes off it. So they'd be I mean the the people would be more interested in what is going on the pitch rather than commercially or anything otherwise. So that's the thing that would be more interesting. I would be more interested in as a fan rather than rather than any other thing, because I don't care where the money comes from or goes. I just want my team to be performing on the pitch. That thing. So yeah, here it is. Uh, Ineos chairman Sir Jim Ratcliffe said, "As a local boy and a lifelong supporter of the club, I am very pleased that we have been able to agree a deal with the Manchester United board that delegates us management responsibility of the football operations of the club. Whilst the commercial success of the club has ensured there have always been available funds to win trophies at the highest level, this potential has not been fully unlocked in recent times. We will bring the global knowledge, expertise, and talent from the wider Ineos Sport Group to help drive further improvement at the club, while also performing funds intended to enable future investment into Old Trafford." I don't know whether this is a dig at the Glazer family or not, because he goes on to say this potential has not been unlocked in the recent years. What does that mean? Who has been in charge in of the club in recent years, the Glazer family, of course. We are here for the long term and recognize that a lot of changes and hard work uh, lie ahead, which we will approach with rigor, professionalism, and passion. We are committed to working with everyone at the club, the board, staff, players, and fans to help the drive club forward. Our shared ambition is clear. We all want to see Manchester United back where we belong at the very top of English, European, and world football. I mean, for words, these are good. Let's see what happens. The transaction is subject to customary regulatory approvals, and all parties are hopeful it will be completed as soon as possible. So that's where the club is right now, and yeah, we'll let's delve into what it basically means for the club, for the fans, everyone associated with the club, and then where it will lead Manchester United, whether they can come back into into the into the wider picture into the wider picture of doing well at the very top of the game, because when I started watching it was all Manchester United. They won the title in 2002, and then thrice, well, I mean, like three times in 3 years, in 2007, 2008, 2009. And yeah, so that's where Manchester United should be. As I have already gone over and told you that that Richard Arnold, who was the CEO at Manchester United, has already left the club or is in the process. I think the last I read was in the next month or so he was supposed to leave the club or might have already left. Sir David Brailsford is the guy who's expected to be taking over as interim CEO of Manchester United, and then we have John Claude Blanc, who has worked with Ineos as well, and was involved with Juventus. He brought Juventus, back into the fore after the relegation in 2006-7. Did well commercially, etc. He has already been pictured at Old Trafford. So these two people are expected to be at the club, and we'll see what happens in the next 6 months. Of course, this season, Manchester United might have left themselves too much to do before they can pick up and run with the other successful clubs like Manchester City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Aston Villa, who are doing particularly well. Tottenham have come into the picture. They beat Everton yesterday, so that's one thing to be looked at. Of course, Manchester United next play on Boxing Day. Their next match is against Aston Villa, and and we'll have to wait and see what kind of effect this has on the players' psyche. What steps will Sir Jim Ratcliffe be in the stands to watch that game against Aston Villa, who are flying high. Manchester United, as I told you, lost or haven't scored a goal in the last four games. Of course, going back to, I mean, like, just going through which four games these are: West Ham United, Liverpool, and and uh, and Bayern Munich, of course, one of them. And prior to that, there was another one. I just can't recall which game it was. So let's see if that form picks up. Eric Ten Hag's future. What happens to Eric Ten Hag? He was, of course, brought in by the Glazer family. Sir Jim Ratcliffe will take stock of his situation as well, because in the recent days, his his uh, his place at the club has also been, brought into questioning. Some of his tactics. Some of his tactics have been questioned, continuing with Scott McTominay, who of course is Manchester United's top goal scorer, but he's only scored in 3 games. He scored 2 goals against Brentford, two against Chelsea, and one more. I don't know who it was, but he of course is the club's top scorer, and yeah, so Eric Ten Hag, he spent a lot of money. Might not have gotten the full value out of all the signings that he has done. For example, Mason Mount. He's hardly kicked the ball in anger at Manchester United. He's been injured. It's been almost 6 months since he signed. I don't even remember when he was. I mean, like him playing in a red shirt. I don't think I've seen him, and I watched plenty of matches all over the world. I mean, from Europe's top leagues, and I don't even recall Mason Mount. Maybe in the Carabao Cup when Manchester United played Newcastle, and he was absolutely terrible. In fact, the whole team was terrible. Anyways, getting distracted, uh, but going back to Eric Ten Hag, a lot of his tactics have been questioned, like his falling out with Rafael Varane. Of course, Jadon Sancho's issue is a different thing, where I mean, of course, what Jadon Sancho has done is not right. Is he's taking liberties with what he's doing, but Eric Ten Hag could have kept it private as well. He could have not talked about how Jadon Sancho was training and all, and he might have still gotten Jadon Sancho, on side. Of course, a lot of clubs have injuries, and he could have uh, he could have added a different dimension to Manchester United's, you know, uh, playing style and everything. And but it wasn't to be, and Manchester United, of course, are now floundering a bit, and his tactics with playing Luke Shaw at left back, um, continuing as I said with Scott McTominay, not playing two defensive midfielders. So these kind of tactics aren't helping Eric Ten Hag, and so maybe his 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 uh, his position at the club will be scrutinized, since Alex Ferguson called it quits, or retired. He There's been David Moyes, there's been Louis Van Gaal, there's been Jose Mourinho, there's been Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, there's been Ralf Rangnick, and now Eric Ten Hag, and none of them have been able to get Manchester United to where the club needs to be, and that has to be a big disappointment, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe has to correct that. And of course, he already owns a club in Nice, OGC Nice. Yes, that's how it is pronounced, not nice, not anything else. It's Nice. It's pronounced Nice, and he'll be bringing in his experience. Of course, Nice didn't particularly do really well at the very start, but it went down. But now this season they are doing well, and who knows what their position is in the Liga table at the end of the season, and how it affects Manchester United in their pursuit of Europe, because there are complications, and if Nice finish higher than Manchester United, then it becomes complicated for Manchester United to, if so. Just to give you an example, if Nice qualify for Champions League, and Manchester United then can't qualify for Champions League and Europa League, so they Manchester United go into Europa Conference League, because there's a conflict of interest thing where where Manchester United, I mean, like, this is according to the UEFA rules, and and so it is complicated. Of course, we probably need another we probably need another video to explain how Manchester United's situation will be affected if Nice qualify for the Champions League, because they are also owned by Sir Jim with his sporting company or his petrochemical company Ineos Group, and yeah, so that's another thing that needs to be brought into picture, and we'll be talking about that in the coming months, and yeah, so what else is affected, and of course we have talked about the transfer window and all, how the transfer window shapes up for Manchester United. Of course, this deal is still subject to Premier League's approval, directors test and all. We all saw what happened with Newcastle United, and how our sale was affected by, and it took nearly a year or 20 months to reach the conclusion regarding the sale. It did eventually happen. Of course, there were other factors in that had been brought in with Newcastle sale, but I expect this thing to be taken care of swiftly in about 2 weeks. It's the laws regarding directors at a Premier League club or Premier League sale are have been made slightly more stringent, but but uh, but I expect this deal to go through. But since then, till then, no deal, no Premier League, no players can be signed, or maybe they can be signed under different guises and all. So that's another thing. Of course, the changing of the guard at Manchester United. Eric Ten Hag, I have already mentioned. He was brought in by the Glazer family. Glazer family is still there, but they won't be running the football side of things. And 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 of course, Sir Jim would probably want his own person in charge at the club, to take care of, to run the team, and how that transpires or affects uh, Eric Ten Hag's future is something that only time will tell. But history tells us that usually people do get replaced. We saw with Roman Abramovich nearly 20 years ago that he sacked Claudio Ranieri. We saw when Mike Ashley first came in at Newcastle, he sacked Sam Allardyce. We saw at other big clubs as well, they want their own people in. We saw at Chelsea second time round that when Todd Bowley came in, he sacked Thomas Tuchel. Although there might have been mitigating factors in that, but he he did he did sack uh, he did sack Thomas Tuchel, and and yeah, so yeah, that's one thing that so as we have already seen, Richard Arnold has already left the club, and Richard Arnold has already left the club. Um, what else is there? Um, we saw 2 3 days ago that European Super League reared its ugly head again. There were doubts whether this deal would be completed or not, and we saw Manchester United were probably the first club who came out with a statement saying that they reject the Super League, but we don't know what will happen with this, and and of course remains to be seen. Um, uh, we'll we'll see more will come out in the past in the next month or so. I guess January would be what do you call a litmus test for Sir Jim Ratcliffe's ownership of Manchester United. Fans might have you know wanted Qatar. They they might have wanted Qatar to be bought by Qatar to be buying Manchester United, because then they could have cleared all the debt, which is £1 billion, uh, close to £1 billion. Uh, as I said, the training ground and the stadium itself needs to be reworked on. We saw that Manchester United food was given a rating of 1 out of 5 because they served raw chicken at an event, and and yeah, so there's there's a lot of work to be done. Make no mistake about it. There's a lot of work to be done for Manchester United and Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and he needs to get his feet under the table as soon as possible, because Manchester United haven't won the league for 10 years, and at the end of this season I'm like everyone is sure that it would be 11 years that Manchester United haven't won the wouldn't have won the Premier League. Would they win the FA Cup? I won't put my money on it. Would they win any other thing this season? I'm not sure they are in any other competition to be winning anything else. So so that's another thing, and yeah, so that's another thing that Manchester United fans need to keep an eye out for, and what else? What else would this deal entail for Manchester United fans? Uh, it's 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 I like I'm just going slightly back because when Qatar and Sir Jassim Al Thani were prominently looking to buy Manchester United, they promised a lot of things. So so can Sir Jim Ratcliffe, you know, carry on and deliver those targets, because believe it or not, people will compare, not all, but some will compare Manchester United uh, under what would have been under Qatar's ownership with what Sir Jim Ratcliffe delivers. Of course, he has experience. I'm not sure whether I mentioned in this video or not, but Sir Jim Ratcliffe is indeed the richest man in United Kingdom. So, but a lot of that money is with Ineos, his company that is into petrochemicals and all. They also they also are involved with Formula One. I don't know. I think it's probably Mercedes, but could be any other team as well that they might be involved in. And yeah, so that's some sporting experience that they can bring in. And of course it is just 25% of the club, but it's major changing of the guard when it comes to Manchester United. Um, for 17-18 years that the Glazer family has been in charge of the club. They have been taking out dividends. Not saying that is going to stop under, not under, but like when Sir Jim Ratcliffe comes in, because as I said, it's still needs Premier League's approval. And once Sir Jim Ratcliffe comes in, I don't think the Glazer family will stop taking the dividends and all, which might have been running into millions, maybe even billions in all those years. So yeah, uh, that's another thing that Manchester United mm, uh, might have to still contend with Sir Jim Ratcliffe being in charge of the club. What else? What else is there? We've talked about the people who are expected to move on. John Mata. We haven't heard too much about what will happen to him, but his future certainly will come into question. He's survived 4 or 5 managers. He's been there at the club for about 10 years, and not sure how 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 he's been viewed inside the club. There was a piece done by the uh, athletics Lottie Whitwell about John Mata, about how he's been doing, how he's how he's done in the last few years. Because Manchester United might have spent a lot of money, but that money, I have to say, hasn't been spent well enough. Paul Pogba, they spent nearly 100 million. Do you think Paul Pogba was? I mean, he had won a World Cup, but do you think he ever showed a 100 million pound footballer kind of mentality or skill when he was at Manchester United? Maybe there were glimpses. He won the World Cup while he was at Manchester United, and yeah. So Srinidhi, yes, I'll agree with you. I don't think Eric Ten Hag will be sacked immediately, but yeah. Sorry, I missed your message. Um, I think it will be it will be down the line, because but some of his tactics have to be questioned. like Scott McTominay, Johnny Evans playing, although they might not have a choice right now with Rafael Varane, Lindelof, Martinez, and who else is injured? Lindelof is injured, Maguire is injured, Varane is injured, Martinez is injured. But bringing him into the question is, I mean, Manchester United should have signed different. Should have signed a different centre half, or probably a better centre half. They wanted Kim Min Jae, Jean-Claire Todibo, who's formerly of Barcelona, spent some time with Schalke, I think, should have been signed. And of course, I agree with you, Glazers out as soon as possible as far as Manchester United are concerned. And yeah, so going back to what um, but going back to um, going back to Sir Jim Ratcliffe, um, as I said, Sir David Brailsford, Jean-Claude Blanc is uh, is uh, is expected to be new CEO. Richard Arnold has left. John Murta, yeah, John Mata is doing a terrible job. Paul Pogba was not good enough at Manchester United. Injuries, falling out with managers, etc. With Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he was always available for France. He did really well. And who else? Anthony. You think Anthony is worth 90, or however much Manchester United pay for it? Even less than half I wouldn't have paid for Anthony, and his and the drama that he has brought along with him, with all the allegations against him by two women now. One, I think, has withdrawn her allegations. And Jadon Sancho, do you think Jadon Sancho is worth 70 odd million? He's, like, listening to all the Manchester United fan channels, they say Jadon Sancho is earning more than 250,000 pounds a week. He's not doing anything at all. I mean, do you think he was worth 73 million? Do you think Manchester United will ever be able to recoup money from these players? This kind of thing. If Manchester United want to sell Jadon Sancho, it's financial fair play suicide. You buying players and you can't recoup money out of them. You have amortized money with this new rule coming in, where you have to amortize the written down value of an asset, a player that is within 5 years. This is basically FFP suicide. And who else? You think Andre Nana is 50 worth 50 million? You think a guy like Mason Mount is worth 60 million? He had a terrible season last year. I, of course, am not doubting the potential of a player or anyone else, but do you think Mason Mount was was anywhere close to 60 million, or how 55 million I think Manchester United paid for him? If Manchester United hadn't bought Mason Mount, I'm sure Chelsea would have buckled. They were under tremendous pressure themselves from the financial fair plays. They would have buckled, but no. And then you let David De Gea go for free. He would have been better off as a second keeper. Maybe if Andre Onana is so good with his feet, um, uh, he could have learnt more about shot stopping from David De Gea. Both could have learnt from each other for one more season, and David De Gea, Andre Onana's mistakes against Galatasaray, against Bayern Munich, have cost Manchester United millions and millions. Who else did Manchester United buy this season? Onana, Mason Mount, and Amrabat. He's. I mean, you never buy a player from based on his international form. Yes, he did for well for Morocco in the last World Cup, but he's been nothing special. In fact, he's looked well off pace. He hasn't done he hasn't done uh, that that well. I mean, he's been he was dropped for an 18-year-old yesterday against West Ham United, and what else? Uh, what was I going to tell you? Um, I mean, I was going to talk to you about someone else as well, that Onana, Mount, and there was another guy who Manchester United signed in this transfer window. Am I forgetting? Defender, no. Midfielder. Oh, no, Rasmus Højlund. Yeah, Rasmus Højlund is a green and like a greenhorn. He he won't hit his peak for next 2 3 years. Maybe he needs someone to learn off. You know, he needs time as well, and and there's no one to teach him. Anthony Martial, do you think he'll teach him? Absolutely bloody no chance that Anthony Martial can teach Rasmus Højlund. I think Rasmus Højlund will be in time better than Anthony Martial. Whether it will be at Manchester United, I don't know, because he hasn't yet scored a Premier League goal. He scored 5 Champions League goals. Of course, he has, but but I'm I mean the strategy at Manchester United needs proper looking at. It's it's not good enough. It certainly is I mean, like, and if you go back, Casemiro last year I'm talking about, Casemiro hasn't looked himself this season. Of course, he is expected in January, expected back in January from injury. Harry Maguire as well, and Lisandro Martinez, and who else are we talking about? Who Anthony I've already talked to you about. So playing staff will be looked at from all the different angles, and then and then and then I mean, once again reiterating, I've said this many a time, that Manchester United need a lot of work, a lot of work, and I mean a lot of work. Playing squad, the coaching staff, Darren Fletcher, Steve McLaren. Steve McLaren was at Newcastle United, and he was dreadful. And like first few games, he would, I mean, like in the first half of the game, he would be sitting in the director's box using a telephone to transfer his message to his assistant, who will then transfer it to play. The players didn't listen, and they were terrible players who didn't listen. There were no egos, and they didn't listen to Steve McLaren. He was dreadful. I mean, Steve McLaren would have. I'm sure he did very well under Sir Alex Ferguson when he was there, and and he and he and he and Manchester United won the treble in 1999. beating Bayern Munich, beating who did they beat? Newcastle in the final of the final of the FA Cup, and then winning the league, of course, by beating Tottenham in the last game of the uh, of the uh, what was it of the Premier League. So that's one thing, and yeah. So there's a lot of work to be done. Coming back to John Murta, um, a lot of money has been wasted. Even Phil Jones, who was signed, only released in the summer. That was a lot of money wasted. I mean, I cringe at some of the things that Manchester United have done. Paul Pogba, who's now suspended, or his thing has been looked at by after testing positive for a drug. So Manchester United were willing to give him a new deal. So these are the things that Manchester United need to correct from their side. Uh, they 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 have to get a lot of things right, a lot of things right. We've already seen Manchester United have lost a lot more games than they have won this season. Of course, bad losses to Crystal Palace, West Ham United, I've already talked about. Bad loss to Galatasaray at home, bad loss to uh, FC Copenhagen in FC Copenhagen in the Champions League. I mean, we put out our reserve side in the Carabao Cup, and Manchester United lost that as well. So 3-0, and it could have been 4 or 5. And Manchester United were how do I put it? They put out a pretty decent side in the what do you call in the Carabao Cup. So yeah, going back to um, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and what he does, it will be important, because if if this thing doesn't come off, and I'm like being honest here, it could set Manchester United back for a number of years. Absolutely, no doubt about this. Manchester United could go back a number of years if this thing doesn't. He has to hit the ground running, Sir Jim Ratcliffe. He has to, absolutely has to, because if he didn't, then you guys are stuck with the Glazer family, and and yeah. And if you think that was bad enough, then this would be bad enough as well. Of course, patience is going to be of the virtue. Manchester United fans, I know you have been patient for a long time, but you need to show even more patience, because it's a start. It's like Sachin has been given a puzzle where he'll have to solve the whole thing from right from the very start. It could take time. It could get worse before it gets better. So that's the thing that Manchester United have to you know have to swallow, and then take then then react whichever way they want to. 25% of the club's class A shares he can buy. 25% of class B shares he will be buying. The deal is mooted to be around 1.5 billion. Of course, you would know that he is the richest man in the United Kingdom, and he's a Manchester United fan. That I that is what I've read, heard on various channels. So that's one thing that 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 is that should help. I mean, like he should be able to think like a fan and act like not act like, but like in that way. And yeah, this season I don't think we will see the fruits of Sir Jim Ratcliffe's labor, but maybe in the coming seasons we will see something good happen, and and then um, who knows? Maybe a couple of years, 2 3 years down the line, we will see Manchester United um challenging for the titles, going for trebles, quadruples, and whatnot. But for now, it looks like a fresh new start for Manchester United, and we'll see what happens, and we'll see what happens. We'll see. We'll see. Anyways, that's it from me. I think I've rambled long enough, and I guess, congratulations are in order from are in order for Manchester United fans who 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 are uh, in, who are who might have been waiting for this thing with bated breath, because it had delayed and dallied for a long time. It was this week, that week, XYZ week, but maybe it's a sign that it has happened on the Christmas Eve. It could be like a Christmas gift for all you Manchester United fans. You can all now, you know, revel with his ownership, and who knows, good times might be just around the corner, and um, having a fan can't be a bad thing, unless his heart isn't in a good place, which you won't doubt that it is in the wrong place, or like you'd rather doubt that you think that it's in a good place. He's just like one of you guys who wants to help the club grow, and help the club grow, and yeah, so maybe it is a gift from Santa this Christmas. I have no doubt that this was a pre-planned thing, that it is something that Manchester United fans can enjoy with with their families, and and yes, of course, Manchester United play in red, and they play you play in red, and it's a very very red, and Merry Christmas to all the Manchester United fans. At least you won't have to put up with Glazers and their cliched answers to all the things that you take objection to, and yeah, who knows, 2024 could be the season of Manchester United, for everybody associated with Manchester United. People will I'm sure we moved on, new people will come in, and who knows what happens. Anyways, take care. Merry Christmas from me, and I'm sure I'll be doing a lot more videos before the new year. But if we don't catch up, I mean, I'll be doing, if you don't get to see that video or anything like that, then Happy New Year to you as well. May 2024 be the year that you always wanted it to be, and may all your wishes come true in 2024. So take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in my next few videos. So bye.